In this video, we're going to cover iOS modes. So now when you're managing your Cisco iOS, you're going to be adding configuration within what is known as a command hierarchy. The commands within this hierarchy are going to be stored in command containers and grouped based on the operations that they can perform. So now the way that we're going to reference which container of commands we're actually using is either by a name or by the prompt. So the way that our prompt is made up, it's got the host name over to the left and then the indicator of the mode over to the right. So now the first mode in the command hierarchy that we access by default on our Cisco iOS, it's known as user exec mode, and the operations that the commands can perform within this mode, it's basically for troubleshooting and kind of like showing system information, things like that. So now the second mode in the command hierarchy is known as privilege exec mode, and this is going to have the same commands as user exec mode, but with a couple additional commands that are more taxing on the system, such as like a reload, debug, things like that. Now when we execute the commands within this mode, like this name implies, privileged, we're going to have more privileges or require more privileges in order to actually execute them. This mode is also known as enable mode because we use the enable command in order to get to it. Alright, so the next mode in the command hierarchy is known as global configuration mode, and the operations that the commands can perform at this mode will affect the device holistically. We also have many different sub modes that we can access from global configuration mode, and one that I want to highlight here is a specific configuration mode that pertains to a particular interface. And again, the operations that the commands can perform here will only affect a single interface. So now we're going to demonstrate how to navigate through our command hierarchy. So right now I've got a console session with the router, and I'm going to press enter here to get access to a prompt. Once again, the default mode that we access on our Cisco iOS, it's going to be user exec mode. If we want to see the commands available within this mode or any other mode, then we can use Cisco's help, which is a question mark. So this is going to display to us not only the available commands, but also a description. And it's only going to do so for the size of the window. So down here, as indicated by more, we have more commands to show. And we can do so by pressing the enter key to show a command at a time, or we can use the space bar to show us a page at a time, or if we wanted to just return us to a prompt, we could press any other key. So now if we want to go to the next mode in the command hierarchy, then we're going to execute the enable command. This will bring us from user exec mode to enable mode, which is also called privilege exec mode. If we want to go to the next mode in the command hierarchy, then we're going to execute the configure terminal command. And if we want to go into a specific interface, then we can execute the following command. So we can execute the interface command, then we have to specify the interface type. So we have fast Ethernet interfaces available on this system. And we're going to go into interface configuration mode for fast Ethernet 00. Now if you want to go back one mode in the command hierarchy, then you can execute the exit command. And if you want to go back to privilege exec mode from any position within the command hierarchy, then you can either execute the end command, or you can use the shortcut keys Control Z or Control C. So here I'm just going to execute a Control Z. So now we're going to take a closer look at our iOS modes, and we're going to introduce a term that's called command interpreter. So when we're accessing different iOS modes, that's what we're doing, is we're interacting with different command interpreters. So now to help you understand exactly what that means, we're going to compare our Cisco iOS to Jquery Terminal. So Jquery Terminal is a Jquery plugin that enables you to simulate actual terminals. And one terminal that you can simulate is one that contains multiple command interpreters, like our Cisco iOS. So now on its examples page, it gives you kind of like a skeleton code to help you get you started. Now within this skeleton code, what you're going to find is a push function. So your push function is used to access a different command interpreter. So we have a push function here, Then we have another push function down here, and then we have another one down here. Notice that these push functions are a part of a conditional statement, and as a part of that conditional statement you have to match a certain string. So if the command equals test, then you can access this command interpreter. Now if we relate this to our Cisco IOS, we had to execute the enable command to go from user exec mode to privilege exec mode. We also said that privilege exec mode was referred to as enable mode because we executed the enable command to get to it. So now if we analyze this code within here, notice we said that the string is test, and then down here they're referencing the interpreter by a name that's by the same name as the command, and that it's also reflected in the prompt. Now to take this a step further, when referencing our Cisco IOS, we just group the commands within the modes based on the operations that they can perform. So again, when looking at this code and comparing it to the iOS, we get a better understanding of how it works.